Buckle your seatbelt, Dorothy.
How can you truly enjoy the meal unless you know the flavor? Welcome back, ABL fans. This is Big Earl, your trusted voice in Action Baseball League analysis, coming at you with our 21st installment of Deep Dive 25. Watch your fingers, because we're about to slice, dice, and dissect all the nuances of this great league. A respectful nod to the sports writer at the Boston Globe for your detailed and analytical coverage. Your thorough approach and deep dives into the team's dynamics provide readers with a rich and expansive perspective. Okay, ABL fanatics, let's do this. Whether it's the Eastern powerhouses, the Central workhorses, or the Western wildcards, we're covering it all. See it for yourself. The Boston Patriots in the Eastern Division of the ABC, a team that encapsulates the very essence of enigma and potential in equal measure. With an owner whose personality and negotiation style set a dynamic tone, a front office and coaching staff that balance experience with fresh perspectives, and a GM adept at navigating the complexities of the ABL, this team is a fascinating study in contrasts. Keep your binoculars trained on them, folks. Boston has a knack for mixing seasoned strategies with wild pitches. If you're one of those folks who can't get enough of the nitty-gritty, the ins and outs, the ups and downs of ABL baseball, then this deep dive is for you. It's like opening a box of Cracker Jacks. You never know what treasure you're gonna find. Grab a cup of clam chowder and cue up those historic Freedom Trail tales, because we're delving into a team as complex and storied as Boston's rich historical tapestry and as vibrant as the cobblestone streets of Beantown.
Question 1. How does the owner's personality and negotiation style influence the team's culture and performance?
The enigmatic helm of the Boston Patriots, Alex Mendez's high-stakes gamble. Listen up, ABL aficionados, let's talk about the Boston Patriots owner Alex Mendez, a man as complex as a 12-6 curveball. With 33 years in the game, he's no rookie, but his fair reputation belies an easygoing yet temperamental personality that could either chill a locker room or set it ablaze. This guy's negotiation style is a high-stakes poker game, personable 1 minute, volatile the next. His management ethos? A bewildering trio of understanding, controlling, and hands-off, like a conductor who knows every note but isn't afraid to let the orchestra riff. Financially, the man aims for the stars with the goal of winning, yet paradoxically sets a floor of merely reaching the playoffs. Bottom line, Mendez is a riddle, a bundle of contradictions that could either propel the Patriots to ABL glory or send them spiraling into mediocrity. Keep your eyes peeled. This is a storyline you won't want to miss.
Question 2. What roles do the front office and coaches play in the team's success or struggles? Are they aligned with the owner's vision?
The Patriots' leadership conundrum, a symphony of experience and wild cards. ABL fans, let's dive deep into the Boston Patriots brass, a cacophony of personalities and experience levels that could either make sweet music or hit a sour note. Start with GM Bobby Ramsey, an absolute maestro in the front office. His personable nature aligns seamlessly with owner Alex Mendez's own character. Then there's Bill Huff, the field manager and tactical sage whose 28-year tenure suggests he knows how to carve a path to the playoffs, aligning nicely with Mendez's modest seasonal ambitions. The coaching carousel is a mixed playlist, from Tyler Harrison's personable approach to pitching to the fresh yet improving beat of hitting coach Jun Young Kim. Don't overlook the scouts. John Thomas runs a tight ship, and his controlling nature could either complement or clash with Mendez's hands-off managerial style. In short, the Patriots are a blend of experience and youthful vigor, control and laissez-faire. But whether this orchestra is in tune with Mendez's vision of playoff contention is a question only the season can answer.
Question 3. How does the team's financial health reflect in its performance?
The financial scorecard. Boston Patriots' thrifty spending meets untapped potential. Here's the financial lowdown on the Boston Patriots. They're operating with a nearly $8 million payroll against a $10 million budget, with total revenue just barely edging out expenses. In layman's terms, they're in the black but not exactly flush with cash. We know they haven't been dancing in the postseason lately, a missed opportunity for a franchise in a huge market with good fan loyalty. With season ticket sales exceeding $5 million and an 85% stadium fill rate, they're not hurting for supporters, but they're not maxing out their potential either. Ticket prices are consumer-friendly at $4.80, and fan interest hovers at a respectable 83, begging the question, why isn't this team a juggernaut? In short, the Patriots are financially stable but not capitalizing fully on their resources. They've got the fan base and the market. What they need now is to translate those dollars into on-field success.
Question 4. How has fan interest evolved over time, and what does it mean for the team's revenue and player acquisitions?
The sine wave of Patriot fandom, a decade-long odyssey from euphoria to lukewarm loyalty. Take a gander at the Boston Patriots fan interest from 72 to 81. What you see is a ride as turbulent as a Patriots Fields crowd after a questionable umpire call. Kicking off the 70s with numbers in the low 90s, the Patriots were Boston's darling, only to take a faceplant into the low 80s and an abysmal 76 by 77. Since then, it's been a lackluster plateau in the low 80s, respectable but far from the fervor this huge market with good fan loyalty should command. What does this mean for the Patriots' coffers and the lineup on the field? Simply put, they're leaving money and talent on the table. A higher fan interest could ratchet up gate revenues, merchandise sales, and sweeten media deals, giving them the financial muscle to snag top-tier talent. Instead, they're operating with a decent but not awe-inspiring $8 million payroll and a trade budget just shy of $4 million. The Patriots have managed to keep the boat afloat, but they're far from sailing in high winds. The question looming over Patriots fields is whether they can reignite fan passion and translate that latent potential into on-field triumphs. Anything less would be a travesty in a market that's ripe for the picking.
Question 5. What is the current mood among the fan base, and how could it impact the team in the short term?
Boston's cautious optimism, a pot simmering, but not yet boiling over. The Boston Patriots fan base is perched on the cusp of enthusiasm, with a fan interest level at a steady 83 and a modest uptick of 1 point over the past month. Think of it as a tepid cup of New England clam chowder that's yet to reach its boiling point. With an attendance rate of 85.4% and a huge market known for good fan loyalty, the Patriots are drawing crowds, but not the sort that would necessitate a citywide celebration. What's the short-term fallout? On the revenue front, they're capturing the low-hanging fruit, but the tree is far from picked clean. A dash of on-field brilliance could ramp up attendance and, by extension, gate and merchandise dollars. In terms of morale, the team is missing out on the sort of fervent crowd support that can tilt close games in their favor. As for the front office, the tepid fan response places them in a holding pattern, neither emboldening them to swing for the fences in player acquisitions nor driving them to batten down the financial hatches. And let's not forget, the owner's modest goal of just reaching the playoffs looms large. A surge in fan enthusiasm could well be the tailwind this team needs for a postseason push. So, the atmosphere in Boston is akin to a pot on simmer, a little more heat, and we might just see it boil over into a rollicking feast of baseball success.
Question 6. How is the team faring in the league standings, and what factors are contributing to their performance?
Treading water in Beantown, the Boston Patriots' quest for mid-season relevance. The Boston Patriots are walking the tightrope of mediocrity with a 9-10 record and a win percentage just shy of .500. They're not sinking, but they're not sailing either, sitting 2 games back in the ABC Eastern Division. Their run differential is razor-thin at -1, indicative of a team that could tip either way with a gust of wind. A closer look reveals a tale of 2 cities, a respectable 6-4 at home but stumbling to a 3-6 record on the road. When it comes to playoff odds, let's just say you get better odds on a coin flip, 17.9% for the division and 23.4% for the postseason. Their performance metrics, batter WAR at 2.26 and pitcher WAR at 1.77, hint at a lineup that's serviceable but not stellar. The ELO rating of 1,498.3 puts them squarely in the middle of the pack. What's the takeaway? The Patriots are a middle-of-the-road team that needs to find an extra gear to break away from the pack. Whether it's shoring up the bullpen, getting that timely hit, or simply catching a break, something's got to give if they're to rise above their current state of lukewarm limbo.
Question 7. What are the team's odds of making the playoffs on a divisional and conference level?
Boston Patriots playoff aspirations, a long shot, but not a lost cause. The Boston Patriots find themselves in a precarious position when it comes to playoff aspirations. With a divisional odds percentage of a mere 17.9%, they're more of a dark horse than a frontrunner in the ABC Eastern Division. Extend the lens to the entire conference, and their playoff odds improve ever so slightly to 23.4%, still less than a 1-in-4 shot. It's the statistical equivalent of a batter hitting .234. You might stay in the lineup, but you're not stealing headlines. In other words, the Patriots are in the game, but they're far from holding a winning hand. they'll need more than just good fortune to flip the script. We're talking a consistent winning streak, astute mid-season acquisitions, and perhaps a sprinkle of that elusive baseball magic. The clock's ticking, and while it's not a 2-minute warning, it's a clarion call for a team that needs to up its game if it has any designs on October glory.
Question 8. How do base runs and ELO ratings paint a picture of the team's true strengths and weaknesses?
A numbers game, base runs and ELO ratings unveil the Boston Patriots' precarious balance. The Boston Patriots find themselves balancing on the statistical tightrope between promise and peril. With a base runs differential of -1, the team is in a precarious position. Competitive, yes, but not capitalizing enough to tip the scales in their favor. It's a razor-thin margin that calls into question their ability to close out games effectively. As for the ELO rating, it sits at a lukewarm 1,498.3, just a smidgen below the 1,500 mark considered average. This rating, which accounts for both team performance and the quality of opponents, suggests the Patriots are neither pushovers nor powerhouses. They're not feasting on weaker teams or pulling off upsets against the elites. They're simply floating in the sea of mediocrity. So, what's the takeaway? These metrics depict a team at a crossroads, with the potential to tilt in either direction based on how they address their subtle yet glaring weaknesses. It's a wake-up call for a team that can't afford to hit the snooze button any longer, especially if they aim to climb the ABL ladder.
Question 9. What does the team's war indicate about its most valuable players?
The war front, unpacking the Patriots' talent divide between the plate and the mound. The Boston Patriots find themselves in an intriguing conundrum when it comes to their wins above replacement WAR metrics. With a batter WAR of 2.26, it's clear that the team's offensive machinery is its stronger suit, likely harboring the club's most valuable players. These could be the heart-of-the-order sluggers or perhaps even utility men making a difference in multiple facets of the game. On the flip side, the pitcher WAR sits at a less impressive 1.77, indicating that the mound is more of a trouble spot than a stronghold. Whether it's the starters or the bullpen, someone's not pulling their weight, and it's costing the team. The total WAR of 4.03 doesn't necessarily spell doom, but it doesn't scream championship contender either. It suggests a team that's competent but not complete, with standout performers likely in the batter's box and question marks dotting the pitching staff. In a nutshell, if the Patriots aim to tip the scales from mediocrity to greatness in the ABL, they'll need to bolster that pitching and keep swinging those hot bats.
Question 10. How have injuries impacted the team's performance and depth?
The injury quagmire, a deep dive into the Boston Patriots' health woes and its impact. The injury bug has bitten the Boston Patriots, and it's left a mark. 4 players have landed on the disabled list, totaling 84 days lost to injuries. This isn't just a statistic, it's a series of unfortunate events that have likely reshaped the team's season, in a manner of speaking. Regardless of names or positions, let's not kid ourselves, for injuries can be a game changer, affecting both the team's offensive and defensive efficacy. Financially, the team has $84.7 thousand tied up in these injured players. Now, that may be a drop in the bucket for a team with a multi-million-dollar budget, but remember, every dollar counts in baseball, especially when it could have been spent elsewhere to bolster the roster. These injuries not only sideline valuable players, but also drain resources and force the team to dig deeper into its bench or even the minors, compromising both performance and managerial flexibility. In a nutshell, the Patriots are skating on thin ice here, navigating the treacherous waters of injuries with the season hanging in the balance. It's like playing baseball's version of Russian roulette, and they can ill afford another misfire.
Question 11. What do the team's batting statistics reveal about its offensive capabilities?
Lukewarm bats, a deep dive into the Boston Patriots' offensive metrics. The Boston Patriots, a team that seems to be in a perpetual state of offensive mediocrity this season. With 85 runs scored and 28 dingers, they've shown they can put runs on the board and clear the fence, but let's not get carried away. These aren't murderer's row numbers. Their slugging percentage at .441 and an OPS of .763 tell us they can hit for power and get on base, but again, we're not talking about an offensive juggernaut here. A strikeout rate of 17.1% hints at some holes in their swings, and a walk rate of 6.92% says they're not exactly the masters of the base on balls. As for quality of contact, their WOBA stands at .346 and a BOBIC of .280, suggesting that, yes, they're making decent contact but aren't consistently finding the gaps. Their batting average of .261 and OBP of .322 are decent but won't make opposing pitchers lose sleep. All told, this is a team that's doing a lot of things well but nothing spectacularly. They're jacks of all trades, but masters of none, and in a league as competitive as the ABL, good but not great might just not cut it.
Question 12. How does the pitching staff stack up against divisional and conference competition?
The muddled mound, assessing the Boston Patriots pitching quandary. The Boston Patriots pitching staff seems like a hodgepodge of unrealized potential and glaring weaknesses. With an ERA of 4.45 and FIP of 4.29, let's just say they're not reminding anyone of the 90s Braves. They've conceded 86 runs and are struggling with control, as evidenced by a bloated 67 walks and a 9.08% walk rate. Yes, they've struck out 128 batters, but a 17.3% strikeout rate isn't going to instill fear in opposing lineups. Opponents are batting a robust .283 and have an on-base percentage of .37, which suggests that this staff is more generous than a grandparent at Christmas. On the brighter side, they have a ground ball percentage of 49.9%, which is solid but doesn't entirely redeem the home runs they've allowed, 14 to be exact. In the grand scheme of things, this staff has some assets, like inducing ground balls, but glaring weaknesses in control and an inability to stifle opposing batters overshadow those strengths. They're not the Achilles heel of the Patriots, but they're not the team's Hercules either. If they don't get their act together, don't be surprised if the Patriots find themselves on the outside looking in, come playoff time.
Question 13. Are the team's fielding statistics a strength or a weakness?
The Silent Guardian, an examination of the Boston Patriots' fielding nuances. When it comes to fielding, the Boston Patriots are not exactly turning heads, but they're not causing facepalms either. Boasting a total zone rating of 2.14, they're holding their own, making the plays that they should, if not dazzling the crowd with defensive wizardry. Their defensive efficiency hovers at 0.667, converting about two-thirds of balls in play into outs, a decent, workmanlike figure. They've committed only a paltry 5 errors, a sign of reliability, and have turned 25 double plays, an indicator of infield acumen and synchronicity. Yet, they've shown vulnerabilities in controlling the base paths, allowing 12 stolen bases against 16 attempts, with only a 25% caught stealing rate. While the outfield assists are modest at best, they're not a glaring issue. So where does that place the Patriots on the defensive spectrum? They're competent, but not spectacular. It's a quiet strength, good enough to not lose games, but not so extraordinary as to be a game changer.
Question 14. What do base running stats say about the team's tactical approach?
The subtle art of base running. A look at the Boston Patriots' tactical choices on the paths. When it comes to base running, the Boston Patriots operate like a skilled poker player, calculating but not overly cautious, willing to push the chips in when the odds favor them. With 10 stolen bases and a success rate of 71.4%, they're clearly not shy about taking that extra base, but they're doing it judiciously. Factor in 111 singles, 49 walks, and 11 hit-by pitches, and you've got a team that's consistently putting runners in scoring position, setting the stage for those stolen base attempts. Yet, the absence of intentional walks suggests that opposing pitchers aren't losing sleep over who's next up to bat, a subtle indicator that the lineup might lack a certain fear factor. As for their weighted stolen bases, WSB, of 0.84, it's a modest number, but it signals that their base running is contributing positively to their run scoring, even if it's not the main event. So, to sum it up, the Patriots' base running is like the Swiss Army knife in a camper's backpack, versatile, useful, but not the thing you're showing off when you tell stories about the trip.
Question 15. Who are the standout performers in batting, and what do their stats reveal?
The Three Amigos, a deep dive into the Patriots' batting prodigies. When it comes to batting, the Boston Patriots have their own version of the Three Amigos in Juan Perez, Danny Salas, and Maynard Bell. Let's start with the elder statesman, Juan Perez, who at 37 is defying father time with a dazzling OPS of 1.233. With 12 home runs and a WAR of 1.12, he's the straw that stirs the drink for the Patriots. Then you've got Danny Salas, a cornerstone at the hot corner, sporting an OPS of 882 and a WAR of 0.88. He's not just a glove man, the guy can rake. Last but not least, we have Maynard Bell, the enigmatic second baseman. His average may hover around the Mendoza line at 257, but he's got some pop with 4 home runs and a respectable WAR of 0.40. This trio forms the backbone of the Patriots' offensive efforts, each bringing their own flavor to the plate. They are the linchpins around whom the rest of the batting order revolves, and if this team is going anywhere, it'll be on the strength of these 3 musketeers.
Question 16. Who are the key figures in the pitching staff, and how do they influence games?
A tale of one ace and two prospects, the Patriots pitching conundrum. The Patriots' mound presence is a dichotomy of veteran savvy and youthful inconsistency. Leading the pack is Jorge Galvez, the 35-year-old maestro with an ERA of 2.46 that's as sharp as a Ginsu knife. Galvez is the kind of guy who can paint the corners and induce ground balls when needed, underlined by his 0.57 WAR. Then you've got Victor Martinez, the 26-year-old enigma who's 3-1 but sports an ERA of 5.64 that's more inflated than a carnival balloon. His FIP suggests bad luck's in play, but it's clear the kid needs to hunker down. Rounding out the trio is Miguel Velasquez, a 29-year-old with a hefty ERA of 6.14 but a WAR and FIP that hint at untapped potential. In a nutshell, Galvez is the rock, Martinez is the wild card, and Velasquez is the project. They're like a band with one-hit single and two tracks that still need a little mixing. If this team is going to make any noise in the ABL, they'll need more than just their aging ace to step up on the rubber.
Question 17. Who excels in base running and fielding, and how do they impact the game's outcome?
The quiet game changers, Patriots standouts in base running and fielding. For the Boston Patriots, the unsung heroes might just be those excelling in base running and fielding. Take Maynard Bell, the 28-year-old second baseman, who is a veritable Houdini on the base paths with a 100% stolen base percentage and a weighted stolen base score of 0.449. He's the guy who could steal you a run in a nail-biter. On the same wavelength, we have Danny Salas and Freddie Zambrano, both clocking in with a stolen base percentage of 100%. These guys aren't just base occupants, they're threats every time they take a lead. Now, swivel your attention to the diamond. Salas isn't just stealing bases, he's also stealing hits with a perfect fielding percentage and a zone rating that should be the envy of any third baseman in the league. Then we've got the outfield patrolled by Javi Lopez and Jesse Gonzalez, whose fielding percentages and zone ratings suggest that fly balls go to die in their gloves. These players may not make the 11 o'clock sports every night, but they're the kind of athletes who turn potential losses into hard-fought wins. Watch them closely, they're worth the price of admission.
Question 18. What does the team's age demographic reveal about its experience and future potential?
The dual-edged sword of age, balancing experience and youth in the Patriots roster. The Boston Patriots age demographics reveal a fascinating blend of seasoned veterans and emerging talent across the different levels of play. The Major League team averages around the ripe age of 30, with batters edging out pitchers by a year, indicative of a squad in its prime, poised for championship runs. The AAA team's average age of 31, especially among pitchers, suggests a reservoir of experience that could be tapped into should the need arise. Then you have the AA level where the pitcher's average age jumps to an eyebrow-raising 31.31 years, hinting at a mentorship role for the younger talent. Speaking of youth, the single A level is where the future shines bright, especially with pitchers averaging under 25 years. It's as if the Patriots have a well-thought-out diversified portfolio, high-yield bonds in the form of seasoned players for immediate returns, and some aggressive growth stocks in the guise of young prospects for the future. A savvy mix indeed.
Question 19. Who has had the best batting and pitching games, and what do these performances signify for the team?
Marquee moments, show-stopping performances that define the Patriots' potential. Let's cut to the chase. The Boston Patriots have had some jaw-dropping, tell-your-grandkids kind of performances this season that could very well serve as a prologue to an exhilarating narrative. On the offensive end, Juan Perez, with a game score of 74, obliterated the Nashville Blues, hammering 2 home runs and amassing 4 RBIs in a tour de force display. Meanwhile, Javi Lopez played the perfect wingman on the same day, notching a home run and 3 RBIs, and Noah White demonstrated he's no slouch either, cranking up 3 hits and 2 RBIs against the Philadelphia Fury. Now, flip the script to the mound. Miguel Velasquez was simply untouchable against the Houston Mavericks, churning out a complete game shutout with a game score of 85. Pedro Martinez followed suit with an 8.2-inning gem against the St. Louis Stallions, and Jorge Galvez, the veteran, showed he still has plenty left in the tank with a 7.2-inning shutout performance against the Nashville Blues. What does this all mean? Well, it means the Patriots have both the star power and the depth to turn heads and churn out victories. There's a blend of headline-grabbing brilliance and understated consistency here that's hard to ignore. This isn't just a good team, it's a team with the potential to be great.
Question 20. What does your gut tell you about this team in the 1981 championship season and the Grand Tournament of Champions?
Gut check. The Boston Patriots playoff hopes and dark horse status. The Boston Patriots are like a stick of dynamite, lots of potential but in need of a spark. Third in the ABC Eastern Division, they're not the favorites, but boy, could they be the dark horse nobody wants to deal with. Let's talk brass tacks. Pitching-wise, they've got a couple of aces in Miguel Velasquez and Pedro Martinez, but the depth? Questionable. They need another reliable arm, maybe even two. Offensively, Juan Perez is the man, the myth, the legend, but even legends need help. Consistency is the name of the game here, and whether it's through a trade or promoting some young blood, something's got to shake. Fan mood? Content. But content doesn't win championships, fire does. A couple of big wins or a marquee acquisition could turn content into electric. Now, if by some stroke of fortune or genius they make it to the Grand Tournament of Champions, this team will be radioactive. Momentum in baseball is a valuable currency, and if they've got it, they could be lethal. A blend of seasoned vets and unsung heroes could make them a nightmare in a 7-game series. Final takeaway? Don't sleep on the Boston Patriots. If they find that missing piece and catch a wave of momentum, they might just make some October magic.
Question 21. What is the team's history in the Grand Tournament of Champions?
The Patriots' 1978 saga, a gritty near miss that echoes through history. The 1978 ABC Division Championship Series, a clash for the ages between the Boston Patriots and the New York Aces that went down to the wire, a full 7-game gauntlet. Here's the deal, the Patriots showed they had the mettle, taking it to Game 7 against one of the ABC's juggernauts. They displayed that quintessential blend of grit and tenacity that says, hey, we belong here. But alas, they fell short, watching their rivals celebrate what could have been their own glory. It's the kind of stinging defeat that festers, that sticks in the craw of every player and die-hard fan. But here's the silver lining, it's also the kind of loss that sounds the clarion call for action, for change, for that one last piece of the puzzle that transforms a team from almost there to champions. For the Boston Patriots, that 1978 series wasn't just a nail-biting chapter in their storied history, it was a flashing neon sign saying they're on the cusp of something great. The only question is, what will they do about it?
Question 22. What is the team's history in previous seasons?
The Boston Patriots, a roller coaster ride through ABL history. The Boston Patriots, a team that's had its share of peaks and valleys in the Action Baseball League. Starting off as newcomers in '72 with a modest 76-86 record, they've oscillated between promise and disappointment. The '70s were a mixed bag, hitting rock bottom in '73 with a dismal 70-92 showing, but also reaching lofty heights in '78 with an astounding 102-60 record that tantalized fans with a whiff of championship glory, only for that scent to turn sour with a heart-wrenching playoff exit. Since then, they've been a riddle wrapped in an enigma, epitomized by their 1981 season, a 9-10 start that leaves everyone guessing. Financials tell a brighter story. Their balance sheet has fattened up nicely over the years, sitting pretty at over $9 million in '81, an indicator that despite their on-field vicissitudes, they've managed to capture the hearts and wallets of their fan base. But here's the rub, their ERA is currently sitting at an unsettling 4.45, while their batting shows promise with a .261 average. It's a team that's shown it can soar, but has often been grounded by inconsistency. So, as they navigate the treacherous waters of the 1981 season, one thing's for sure, the Patriots remain the ABL's most compelling enigma, a team that could either sputter out or blaze a trail to glory.
Question 23. What's your take on last season?
The 1980 Boston Patriots, a season of resilience marred by missed chances. The 1980 season for the Boston Patriots, a campaign defined by its tantalizing taste of promise yet soured by the bitter pill of missed opportunities. With an 83-79 record, the Patriots rebounded from their 1979 slump to land in second place, albeit a frustrating 7 games back. The spotlight was on their pitching staff, which boasted an admirable ERA of 3.47, acting as the sturdy spine of a team that could never quite find its offensive legs. A paltry team batting average of .230 attests to that. Financially, they were sitting pretty with a balance of over $5.7 million, offering a glimmer of hope for roster improvements. But here's the crux, they were good, but not great, like a race car with a roaring engine but bald tires, fast, yet failing at the crucial turns. It was a year of almosts and what-ifs, a stepping stone that tested their mettle but also laid bare their shortcomings. In the end, the 1980 season was a paradox, a blend of the encouraging and the discouraging, leaving fans and pundits alike pondering what this team needs to tip the scales from good to great.
Question 24. How does what happened in the 1980 season reflect on the 1981 early campaign?
The unfolding 1981 season, haunted by 1980's ghosts and guided by its lessons. As the 1981 season unfurls its narrative, the Boston Patriots find themselves in the murky waters between potential and fulfillment, their sails still billowing from the winds of a 1980 season that was as promising as it was inconclusive. The team's early 9-10 record in 1981 suggests a squad that hasn't quite shaken off last year's second-place syndrome, yet shows flickers of addressing its Achilles heel. The anemic .230 batting average of yesteryear has been nudged up to a more respectable .261. But before the Patriots can pop any champagne, the early season ERA of 4.45 screams a cautionary tale, sounding the alarm that the pitching prowess, which was their backbone in 1980, may have frayed at the edges. The team has financial muscle, thanks to last year's healthy balance sheet, providing a lifeline for key acquisitions. But have they pulled the trigger? That remains the million-dollar, or perhaps the $5.7 million, question. In essence, the 1981 season's early days are a complex mosaic of 1980's triumphs and tribulations, an ensemble of steps forward and back that leaves the Patriots standing at a crossroads, with signs pointing both to promise and to peril.
Question 25. What is your take on the current roster?
The 1981 Boston Patriots, a roster of paradoxes and peril. Let's not mince words here. The 1981 Boston Patriots are nothing short of a baseball enigma, a jigsaw puzzle with pieces that both fit and misalign in perplexing fashion. Take the mound, where Miguel Velasquez and Victor Martinez, though sporting alarming ERAs of 6.14 and 5.64, respectively, contrast sharply with a sterling Jorge Galvez at a 2.45 ERA. The bullpen? A roulette wheel of unpredictability, exemplified by Kenny Robinson's jaw-dropping 24 ERA. And yet, closer Pedro Martinez stands as the bullpen's lone beacon of reliability. Behind the plate, Andrew Gilbert and David Ramos are as disparate as night and day, batting .308 and .193, respectively. As for the infield, it's practically a murderer's row with Danny Salas, Joe Turner, and Noah White wielding bats like Excalibur. The outfield offers its own Shakespearean drama. Juan Perez is a one-man wrecking crew, but Andy Ayala and Javi Lopez are floundering below the Mendoza line. Then there are the injuries. Nate Famularo's torn UCL and the unknown malaise afflicting Javi Lopez send shivers down the spine of every Patriots fan. It's as if the baseball gods tossed the elements of triumph and tragedy in a blender and poured out the 1981 Boston Patriots, a cocktail of immense talent plagued by inconsistency, underperformance, and the cruel fates of injury. If they can find those missing pieces, heavens, watch out. But for now, they're teetering on the knife edge between potential glory and imminent downfall. Well, there you have it. Your up-close and personal deep dive into the Boston Patriots. We've dissected their strengths, weaknesses, and everything in between. We've peeked into the owner's suite, dug into the dugout, and even scoped out the fans in the bleachers. And let me tell you, what a ride it's been. Like a well-pitched game, we've covered all the bases. But remember, baseball is a game of unpredictability. Just when you think you've got it figured out, it throws you a curveball. The Boston Patriots, a team that's navigated the ABL season with the resolve of Revolutionary War heroes. But when it comes to the Grand Tournament of Champions, they've often found themselves just shy of signing the Declaration of Victory. Will they muster the grit to rewrite history, or are they fated to remain the valiant yet unfulfilled contenders in the league's storied annals? The Patriots' tale is far from over, and the next chapter promises to be a page-turner. Big Earl here, folks. Keep your eyes peeled for future reports as we navigate through the twists and turns of another gripping ABL season. So, whether you're a fan of the Patriots or just love the game, the best is yet to come. Until next time, this is the game. See it for yourself.
Unfortunately, no one can be told what the Matrix is. You have to see it for yourself.
See it for yourself.
How would you know the difference between the dream world and the real world? You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.